Wanda, let's get straight to it. You've made quite the impact, haven't you? Reality bending, cities under your control, quite the display of power. Now, you've done some things I'm sure you're not proud of. Heck, I'm not proud of them either. But you know, I've seen worse. Trust me, I've had a front row seat to some real horrors in human history. So before you get all defensive, hear me out. There's always a way forward. Always. Let's talk about your power first. It's immense, and I get it. You feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. You've lost people, been hurt, and it's led you down a path where you've lashed out. You've tried to shape reality to avoid your pain, but that's where you and I need to have a little chat. Pain, suffering. I know them well, and I didn't avoid them. I embraced them for the greater good, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. You're strong, Wanda, but strength without compassion? That's a recipe for disaster. Trust me, I've seen countless leaders try to rule without love, without understanding the responsibility that comes with power. You're no different in that regard. You have a choice: use your gifts to serve others, or keep running from your pain and letting it consume you. Spoiler alert, the latter doesn't end well. Trust me. Now, I want to touch on something really important. Forgiveness. Forgiveness. It's one of those tricky things that people think they understand, but when it comes to forgiving themselves, they can't do it. You've hurt people. You've caused pain. But you're holding on to guilt like it's a badge of honor. Here's a little secret. Holding on to guilt isn't strength. It's a chain, one that's wrapped so tight around your soul that it stops you from moving forward. I once told people to forgive 70 times, 7 times. That wasn't a mathematical puzzle for them to solve, it was a principle. Forgiveness isn't about keeping score, it's about letting go. You can't undo what you've done, but you can start fresh. Forgive yourself, Wanda. Let go of that guilt. It doesn't serve you, and it won't help you become the person you're meant to be. Now, about all those times you've used your powers to control, to dominate reality itself. You know, reality isn't something you should tamper with like that. I created the world with order, with purpose, and part of that purpose is giving people the freedom to choose. When you take that choice away, even for what you think are good reasons, you're stepping into dangerous territory. It's tempting, isn't it? To think that if you can just control everything, you won't have to suffer anymore. You won't have to feel the pain of loss or the sting of regret. But that's not how life works, and deep down, you know it. Look, I understand the allure of power. When I was in the desert, Satan tempted me with it. He showed me all the kingdoms of the world and said, "It can all be yours." All I had to do was take control. But that's the thing about power. It can corrupt, especially if you're not careful. You've got to ask yourself, why do you want it? Is it to protect others, or is it to protect yourself from feeling vulnerable again? Because I'm telling you right now, the latter is a trap. You can build all the walls you want, control all the realities you can dream up, but you'll never outrun your own heart. Here's the thing. Redemption is always on the table. Always. You might think you've gone too far, that there's no turning back after what you've done. But that's not how it works. Do you know who I hung out with when I was on Earth? Tax collectors, thieves, prostitutes, people everyone else thought were beyond saving. But no one is beyond saving, Wanda. No one. I see the good in you. I see the potential. You've got so much to offer the world, but you've got to stop running from your pain and start using your power for something greater than yourself. You know, I once said, greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. And I meant it. But it's not just about dying for someone, it's about living for them too. It's about putting their needs above your own, about using your gifts to lift others up, not to bend them to your will. That's what love looks like. And let's be honest, love is what's missing in your equation right now. Now let's get to that big moment in Westview. You created an entire town just to avoid your grief. That's not healthy, Wanda. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a deep wound and pretending everything's fine. But we both know it wasn't fine. You trapped those people. Sure, you didn't mean to, but that doesn't change the fact that you took away their freedom. Free will, Wanda. It's one of the greatest gifts I gave humanity. Without it, people are just puppets. And you can't build real relationships, real connections, if you're the one pulling all the strings. I get it. You were grieving. You lost vision, you lost your brother, and the pain was unbearable. But here's the thing. Pain doesn't go away by ignoring it. You have to face it. You have to feel it. And then, you have to let it go. Easier said than done, right? Trust me, I know. I wept when Lazarus died, even though I knew I was going to bring him back. But I didn't avoid the pain. I embraced it, because in that pain is where we grow. It's where we learn to be more compassionate, more understanding, more like the people we're meant to be. Wanda, your powers, they're incredible, no doubt. But they're not meant to be used for control. They're meant to heal. You can do so much good with them if you let go of the anger, the fear, the grief. I once healed the sick, gave sight to the blind, even brought the dead back to life. But I didn't do it for myself. I did it to show love, to show the world what's possible when you live not for yourself, but for others. Speaking of which, you need to let go of the idea that you can bring back everyone you've lost. Trust me, I know what it's like to lose someone. When John the Baptist was killed, it hurt. But you can't undo the past. You can only move forward, and you won't find peace by clinging to the ghosts of your loved ones. They're at peace now, Wanda, and you should be too. Vision would want that for you. Pietro would want that for you. Don't dishonor their memory by losing yourself in a fantasy. Honor them by living fully, by loving others the way they loved you. Now, let's talk about temptation. Oh, temptation is a sneaky little thing, isn't it? It promises you everything you've ever wanted, but delivers nothing but heartache in the end. You are tempted by the dark hold, by the promise of more power, more control. But it's a trap, Wanda. The more you give in to those temptations, the more you lose yourself. Power without love is hollow. It's like building a house on sand. It might stand for a little while, but eventually it's going to crumble. You need a foundation, something solid to stand on. And that foundation isn't power. It's love, service, compassion. Those are the things that last. Those are the things that build a life worth living. And here's a little secret. When you live for others, when you use your power to serve, you find more peace and joy than you ever could by trying to control everything. You find that the world is a much brighter place when you're not constantly trying to bend it to your will. Now, I know you're probably thinking, but Jesus, it's not that easy. And you're right. It's not easy. It's hard to change, to let go of old habits, old ways of thinking. But I didn't come here to tell you that life would be easy. I came to show you that it's worth it. Redemption is always worth it. Choosing the path of love, of service, it's always worth it. I want you to picture that for a second. Imagine using your power to help others, to heal, to protect. Imagine what it would feel like to wake up every day knowing that you're not just surviving, but you're making the world better. You've had a glimpse of that, haven't you? When you've helped your friends, when you've fought for something bigger than yourself. That's the path I'm calling you to. Not because it's easy, but because it's right, because it's who you're meant to be. Here's a thought. You've lost people, but you're still here. You've been through unimaginable pain, but you're still standing. That means there's a reason you're still here, a reason you've survived all of this. And it's not to keep running from your pain, it's to transform it. You're not just meant to endure, Wanda. You're meant to thrive. And the only way to do that is to stop fighting against the tide and start walking on the water. Yes, I said walking on the water. Remember when I did that? It wasn't about showing off. It was about trust, about faith. Peter stepped out of the boat because he trusted me. He didn't have all the answers, he wasn't perfect, but he had faith. And that's all you need too. Faith isn't about having everything figured out. It's about trusting that even when the storm rages, you're going to be okay. Wanda, the storm has been raging in your life for a while now, but it's time to step out of the boat. It's time to trust that you don't need to control everything, that you don't need to fix everything. You just need to take that first step, to choose love, to choose forgiveness, to choose a new path. And I'll be with you every step of the way.